Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. Oh my god, we gotta break this poster and this title down. So there are a couple really big things. Longtime Star Wars fans will immediately notice some of the visual similarities in this poster to a previous poster from another Star Wars film. I've got a really funny clip of Mark Hamill talking about his original idea for Episode 7, and then we gotta talk about when they're gonna drop the first teaser. There is a new round of the Star Wars giveaway for IMAX gift certificates. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a Star Wars related comment on this video. So just very specific about what this movie is going to focus on. In the poster itself, I know it reminds you of Return of the Jedi, the title. That was actually what the teaser poster for Return of the Jedi looked like, and even Revenge of the Jedi before they changed the title to Return. So the Easter egg in there is that a lot of the tone of this red text implies that it's going to be a little bit darker than the first film. There's also going to be a return of Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi. So The Force Awakens was all about the awakening of Rey's character in the Force in general and a number of other characters. So it was like the Force had been dormant for a long time, although not in the truest sense of the word, and it was coming back. But now The Last Jedi just makes you feel like the whole movie is going to be about Luke Skywalker. Because people wonder, what does that title actually mean, The Last Jedi? Who are they talking about? And is Jedi plural? Because now Rey is training to be a Jedi. So the thing is sometimes when you look at the way they translate posters and titles into other languages, you can find out what they intended based on male or female pronouns. So on the poster they released in Brazil, it actually read male in singular. So that implies that the title is supposed to be for Luke, not for Rey, and it's not for both of them. Just because Rey is not a Jedi yet. She just met Luke Skywalker. And in Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker did the same thing where he's like, I'm a Jedi now. And every other Force user that he was in proximity to during that movie, like Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, even Darth Vader, said that his training was not finished. I'll complete your training. We can rule the galaxy together. So Luke Skywalker's like, oh yeah, I got some training. I'm totally a Jedi. Everyone's just like, nope, not even close. So Rey is just beginning the path to becoming a Jedi. Presumably she'll get there by the third movie in the way that Luke Skywalker finally became a Jedi when he came to terms with his father and helped save him. So Luke Skywalker, we gotta talk all about Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill has said all kinds of funny stuff about getting ready for The Force Awakens. Like he lost a ton of weight, he got back into shape, and did not know that when he showed up on set, all they wanted him to do was just turn around wearing these heavy Jedi robes and pull the hood back. He said he was a little upset. He was excited to be back for Star Wars, but he was a little upset because he'd been prepared for this big action set piece, because he thought that he was going to enter the movie when Han Solo was killed. His idea was that he would actually come see his friend die, and it would be more meaningful.
My problem with that death was I said, why does that, what should happen? There's no character that really, besides Chewie, that has a real deep connection to him. So it's his death doesn't have the resonance that it would have if Leia witnessed it, or if Luke was rushing back to save him and was just not, too late. Because I thought, as I was reading that, I said, oh, she's trying to contact me. And in the earlier films, she could do it with the SP. And I said, I know that I'm not showing up till the end. I'll bet you I'll show up like Han coming back at the beginning of the first one to the Death Star. I'll show up in the last 9 minutes, but I'll be just too late to save Han, but I'll allow the new protagonist to succeed. Believe me, I didn't know it was just going to be a pivot and a hood removal. I mean, I trained twice a week for 50 weeks for that. I thought, well, I'm going to do something.
You looked great.
Well, okay.
I just thought,
not only that, but I mean, I lost all this weight, and then they put me in these robes. I said,
you didn't know anyone saw
I could be Jabba the Hutt under these robes.
It's always so funny listening to the original cast sort of talk about what their thoughts on the film are outside of the film itself. Like, usually you expect them to hype it up, but they have their own ideas about it too. In the idea of the wasted Mark Hamill badassery that could have happened in Episode 7, but that will definitely not happen in Episode 8. Because since Rian Johnson's been shooting it, they've actually posted a couple behind-the-scenes images. They've been so hardcore about security. It is ridiculous what Mark Hamill says that security is like. They wear security robes over their normal clothes, but they have released a picture of Luke's clothing, the staff here. You don't see a lot of stuff out here. You just see a little bit about the way that he's lived this whole time while he's been in isolation. So back to the title again, The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker. You have to imagine that he's the last that was trained by traditional Jedi. And now that he's gone back, like the whole big thing about this new trilogy is in getting back to what the original intent of the Force is. Like the original interpretation that was perverted over time by both the Jedi and other factions like the Sith. So you have Snoke on one side, you have Luke on the other, that both are trying to take a different interpretation of the Force than they were taught previously. I know there's even less information about Snoke, but I actually think that that's a good thing. We didn't really learn about the Emperor until Empire Strikes Back, and then really didn't get to see him that much until the final movie. So I am totally cool with that same paradigm. But if you haven't been watching it, Star Wars Rebels has been doing this really interesting thing with the way it reinterprets the Force. They just did this big Darksaber episode. They actually brought Knights of the Old Republic back into the canon. Previously, Knights of the Old Republic, Darth Revan, all that stuff, almost made it into the canon during Clone Wars. George Lucas pulled like a hard pass, was like, nope, put Darth Bane in, Darth Revan's out, so Knights of the Old Republic was not canon. That all changed this past weekend. Another thing they did earlier this year with the interpretation of the Force was bring back the Bendu, George Lucas's original name for the Jedi. In the way the Bendu tells it, he practices the Force a very different way. There's the light side, the dark side, I'm the one in the middle. So I don't think that says outright that Luke is turning into a gray Jedi or anything like that. I think in searching for the Ahch-To planet, that's the name of the planet that he's on, in the original Jedi Temple, he's just seeking to find the truth of things that he felt was lost over time. So one of the most exciting things about this, one, obviously the title says Jedi, so there's going to be a shitload of Jedi stuff happening in it. But two, we'll also get a lot of new mythology that will reinterpret and recontextualize a lot of the old movies too. They did that during Rogue One with the Death Star weakness, where it's like there's this, really funny story beat that doesn't totally make sense. Why would the Empire build such a crappy design? Well, it turns out it was on purpose so that Jin's father could aid the rebels and they'd be able to destroy it. So just think of the way they're treating the Force in these new movies as doing that for the Force in the previous movies too. That's why you don't hear about midichlorians or anything like that. Luke himself is going back to rewrite a lot of that canon, and Rey's going to learn it the right way. So she'll be a very different kind of Jedi once she does complete her training. But the cool thing is that on the other side of that, so will Kylo Ren. It's implied that the same thing is happening with Snoke right now. Now, he doesn't have the information that Luke has, but presumably he has a lot of dark knowledge that has nothing to do with the Sith, because they said the Sith isn't really a thing in the new trilogy. Now, all religious orders all over the galaxy haven't been wiped out. There's probably a couple people that still believe in the Sith somewhere out there. It's just that Snoke and Kylo Ren are not part of the Sith. That's just the way they explain it going into The Force Awakens. So you guys can let me know, what are you most excited about? Seeing the new Force abilities in the new Force lore that Luke Skywalker has learned about, or about the stuff that Snoke is teaching Kylo Ren? Because most of the Force powers that Kylo Ren displayed in the first movie, and even Daisy Ridley's character, were rudimentary. Jedi mind trick, things that you saw in Episode 4, pretty basic stuff, pretty basic lightsaber fight. I'm not expecting to see any of that in whatever the first teaser is, but a lot of the language that they use implies some of the path that they'll be taking. So the first real trailer is probably not going to drop till Star Wars Celebration in April, but because they released the title, the teaser poster for The Force Awakens right before they released the first teaser, they might also release a short teaser really soon. Now, not this month, but maybe next month, maybe in March. So just be prepared for some actual Star Wars Episode 8 footage to drop. But what's going to happen is just because now it's time to start freaking out about Star Wars Episode 8, I'll be doing a lot more bonus videos. Please leave all your requests for what you want those to be about in the comments. Tomorrow I'll do another bonus video about new Luke Skywalker powers, the nature of the Force, just talking about more Jedi-specific stuff. So that should post in the morning. While you guys wait for that to post, you can click here for my Dark Side Rey video, and you can click here for the greatest Darth Vader scene in the history of cinema. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.